Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me on today's Lunch and Learn. I can't believe we're already on episode number 14, and today I'm going to be talking about how you probably don't realize that the biggest obstacle of your success is you. And we all have obstacles, we all have hurdles, we all have fears, we all have issues, things, life, things that are going to stop us. But the biggest one that is probably holding you back from having success that you want is you. And we're going to talk about that at some deep quantum physics explanation of how you can attract what you want and how you can repel what you don't want. Because right now, you're probably one of the many people who is actually focusing on what you don't want instead of trying to create what you do want. And I apologize, my housekeepers are here right now. So if you hear the zzz, that is my housekeepers vacuuming outside. They should be done in a minute, which is why I was a couple minutes late today for you guys. But I'm excited because my passion is really truly helping people overcome long-term programming, long-term, deep-rooted things that we all have and we all face. And what I want to, really talk about, again, if you're just joining us, we're going to talk today on episode 14 about how you are probably your biggest obstacle on your way to success. And that's really painful for a lot of people because we all want to say, it can't be me. I'm doing everything, I'm showing up, I'm reading, I'm excited, and there's so much more to it that we're going to talk about today. So, in general as humans, we are always drawn to focusing on the negative, the drama. I mean, come here. If you don't believe me, try to drive past a car accident and not look, right? We are drawn to news. I mean, if there's an Amber Alert, I'm like the first one that's Googling. I'm like, what? I don't even want to know about it, but I am. For some reason, our brain likes negative and are attracted to it. And most people try to improve their situation by the wrong way. So instead of sitting there focusing, I have debt, I have debt, I have debt, oh my gosh, I have debt, I have debt, I have debt, I have debt, I can't afford to start a business, I can't afford to buy a book to read, and I can't afford to go to the meeting, I don't even have gas money, I can't afford to buy product, whatever it is, I can't afford your services, is your brain is hearing that every time. And so I'm going to do a couple little drawings really quick about what I'm talking about. And I am not a drawer, but when you are, it actually looks like a monkey. So there's my drawing of you. But when you say it out of your mouth, whatever you say, your ears hear. Now, these are different parts of your brain. You've got a visual, you've got mental, you've got creative, you got audible, you've got kinesthetic, all these ways to learn. And every time you say something, you give this back to your brain. Now, your brain has no idea what the difference is between reality and fiction. So I know a lot of people say, fake it till you make it. That's actually true. You can say, I'm a millionaire, 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 I'm a millionaire. And all of a sudden, if your brain keeps hearing that, they don't know, your brain doesn't know that you're not. And so I'm going to give you a couple really good visuals of how your brain works. But I want to say that we all have this thing called the little voice. And that little voice is sabotaging you. And a couple things to know, that little voice is not God. That I don't care what you say, God does not talk into your head. I believe that God puts things in your path, and I believe that, but we are given free will, right? God does not speak into our head. If it was God, you would know. And this is not a religious thing, but you were born into this world a blank slate. You were born with no beliefs, no fears, and everything you have learned, and you were born with one instinct, and one instinct only. Well, I guess two really. One instinct, the instinct to suck. That's it, to get milk. The rest, you've learned. Survival is probably another instinct, but that is even not that strong in some people, or we wouldn't have millions of people committing suicide, right? So you're born with one instinct, no beliefs and no fears. Everything you've learned, that you fear, you learn. So fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of ridicule, no confidence. Like, I'll tell you right now, one of the worst things that a parent can do, and every time they do it in front of me, I subtly correct them. When they say to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, my child is shy," I say, "Why would you label your child like that? Your child's not shy. There's different personality types. Your child is an introvert where they have to probably think before they talk, or they're slow to warm up because of whatever reasons, something happened in their early rearing that made them a little hesitant to new people, and that's learned." But don't sit there and label your child. Like, don't label your child hyperactive. Don't label your child stupid. Don't label your child gifted, by the way. There's two sides of that ugly coin. You keep telling your child how naturally talented and how gifted they are, they might get lazy on you, right? So all of a sudden we're programmed, and here is our brain, and the 3% of your brain, I probably have to do this backwards. So this is your conscious. This is a big C. And this is, how do you write an S? Subconscious. There, right? Here's your conscious and your subconscious. Unfortunately, 90%, 97% of all your decisions are made, let me try to write this backwards here, 97%. All right, now look at me, my backwards writing. 97% of everything you do, everything you feel, everything you believe is driven by your subconscious. Now, unfortunately, your subconscious, your blank slate that you were born with, has been filled every day, all day, without your permission. And you're taking in input all over. So every single second of every single day, every second, like right now, you are seeing 1 billion images or more. 1 billion. But to keep your brain from going crazy, you filter to what is relevant to you. So have you ever, joined like become a fitness trainer, or joined a gym, or all of a sudden started selling or thinking about, working out, and then all of a sudden you drove by a strip mall for 20 years and you never noticed that there was a 24-hour fitness there. Why? Because it wasn't relevant to your brain. So you start thinking about stuff over and over again, and your brain starts giving you input. So you've heard from, TV. TV feeds us pastors, teachers, Bible study, coaches, peers, everything, media, every magazine ad, every billboard, every commercial, every news thing you've watched. Like, I don't watch the news anymore, guys, because it's nothing positive. Every image that you've ever seen from the second you were born is stored in your subconscious, then you have formed belief systems based on that. So when people go to a network marketing event, well, let me rewind, and your brain takes in these images to keep you safe and alive. So your brain's sole function is to keep you from dying, to keep you from harm, to keep you from situations that make you fear, like the fight or flight response. So when you go, and if you go knock on a door, cold calling, let's say you're in car sales, or not car sales, copier sales, or door-to-door sales, and you knock on that first door, what you're gonna get is your response system is fight or flight. You're gonna start getting sweaty palms. You're gonna start feeling that tightness in your chest. You're gonna start getting nervous. You're gonna start sweating a little bit. That is the fight or flight response telling your body that you're doing something that's scary, and your brain doesn't know if it's a shark attack or if it's just nervousness. Like, your brain doesn't know. So your brain sends these things to keep you safe, and all of a sudden you realize that you're feeling this way, and your brain says, get the heck out of here. You are not safe. And we don't want you to continue doing this because we're trying to keep you alive. So you are in a comfortable situation and your brain wants you to get out of it, right? So Anytime you go out of your comfort zone, you feel this way, the fight or flight response. And this is your body's way of saying, alarm bells, you're doing something that is incongruent with all the information that we've been processing since the day you were born, right? So, perfect example. You invite your friend to a meeting or to take a look at a video. And after the presentation, they're like, oh my gosh, Tara, this is the most amazing thing I see of this product is, changing people's lives. The business opportunity is solid. It makes sense. I'm going through your compensation plan. I'm going through your product. It looks good. I'm seeing these testimonies, the numbers, it all makes sense. And you're like, yes, let's do this. And then you go home. And if you survive your spouse, who didn't just see all the information to reject you and not tell you, no, you're crazy, so always bring spouses when possible. If you survive your spouse, what's going to happen is you go to sleep. And when you're asleep, and by the way, the conscious is 3%. It's right here saying, oh, shiny object, that looks great, But when you're asleep, what happens is your subconscious starts downloading information about what it just saw and processed and says, I'm sorry, those things don't work. Those are pyramid schemes. You're going to get rejected. Only the people at the top make money. You don't know anything about business. You don't know anything about that service, that widget, that product. You aren't good enough to be a intergalactic global rank. You don't have the personality for this. Who do you know? And all of this information of references that have even been put in there without your conscious decision, like things you've heard, things you've seen, things you witnessed all your life, even if you were a child and your mom tried Amway when you were 5 and it didn't work, those are feeding into that belief system, and you wake up and your alarm bells go off and you get that fight or flight response and you are frozen because this is a new belief system and your brain doesn't believe you can do it yet. And so that's the bad news. The bad news is that the average child in the United States hears no you can't over yes you can 5,000 to 1 in their first 18 years of life. They are told, get your head out of the clouds, pay attention, go to school, abide, don't miss class, be on time, get good grades, go to school, go to college, get a job, and work for someone else. And then we wonder why people aren't booming to become entrepreneurs at 18 years old, because that is not what they were told their entire life. And so that's scary. They're like, oh, heck no. This is something that looks risky. I need a paycheck because my dad and my grandpa and my uncle and my mom and my sister and my cousin and my cousin, they all have paychecks and they're alive. So I don't know about you, but this isn't for me. And have you ever thought about why only 3% of the population in the United States makes a combined household income of $250,000 or more? Only 3%. Now, guys, I'll tell you, I've made $250,000 a year many, many times. It's not hard. It didn't require my schooling. It didn't require special education. It didn't require training. It required me thinking a different way. And so, I can't remember the last time my husband and I did not make a combined household income of $250,000 because we changed the way we thought. We both live in the same area as many people do. We live in the same country. We live, in the land of opportunity. It's what we did with that and the programming. Now, I will show you as soon as I clean my bookshelf. I have over 100 books. I've been in the industry for almost 10 years. I've been rewriting my files, so no longer, when someone says, I don't have the time, I don't believe that anymore, because I know people have the time because they have the same exact clock as I do. And they say I don't have the money. I know that is just something excused, because you can literally get into business for $50 in most companies. It's a law by the FTC, and a lot of people just don't disclose that. I know when people say I don't have the right personality, that's also not true, because The right personality is, can you invite people? Have you ever had a baby shower? Yes. Have you ever had a birthday party? Yes. Great. Then you're perfectly cut out for this, because all we're teaching you is invite people. You're not selling any, you're not presenting, and you're not closing. The first, 6 months of your business, you should just be inviting. In fact, your company should have a tool that all you're doing is inviting people to watch the tool, and that's the name of the game. That is what who wins? The person who gets the information in front of the most people by inviting them. Hey, watch this video. Like, don't overthink this. Like, hey, if I send you a video, will you watch it? Out of sheer curiosity, if somebody out of the blue randomly said, if I sent you a 6-minute video that will blow your mind, will you watch it? Out of curiosity, it's worth 6 minutes to me, right? So don't overthink this. Now, that's the bad news, is you have been programmed all of your life without your permission of literally billions and billions and billions of times over about what you don't want. You don't want to take risks. You don't want to get rejected. You don't want to fail. You don't want to get ridiculed. You don't want to die. You don't want people laughing at you. You don't want people criticizing you. You don't want people talking behind your back. You don't want people watching you thinking you're going to fail. You don't want people to think you're pitching them. Like, all of us have the same exact fears, guys. But how is it that some people go on and break through that and go on to have extraordinary success, and some people go on and they crawl back in their little hole in their safe little comfort zone where they live? See, the opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is mediocrity. And if you want to change your life, literally every single thing that hinges, thoughts become feelings, feelings become actions, actions become belief, and belief changes your life. If you want to change your life, you have to not change your belief yet. Belief is the end. You have to start changing your thoughts. Now, here's a really great study, and it was done by NASA. So I'm going to pull this up really quick and give you some stats, because it is really cool. And there's a connection between that NASA found. How can you change this? So I'm 43 and I've been programmed. I've been changing it for now 9 years, but maybe you're 35, 45, 40, 55, 65. You can change your belief systems, which, by the way, are literally physiological. Like, they can see them under a microscope. Like, your belief systems, then every time you deviate off that little neurological pathway, every time your alarm bells go off, you can give no energy to the old pathways, so they literally die off, and you can create new ones. So can you even believe that you can change your belief systems in 30 days? 30 days. Now, if it were that easy, everyone would do it. It takes self-discipline. It takes intention. But you become what you think, and everything that you've thought about up to this point has got you the exact job you live in, the exact spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, or none, the exact house you live in, the exact car you drive, the exact money in your bank account, the debt or no debt. Every belief and every decision that you've made all of your life based on your beliefs has gotten you here. Now, I said yesterday probably 20 times on the episode 13 is, if you had everything you needed to go where you want to go, you would already be there. So you don't have, if you're not living the life of your dreams with the money that you want, the business that you want, the health that you want, the relationships you want, the freedom that you want, the philanthropy that you want, then you have to change you. You are the only one stopping you, and you are the only one that could get you there. Nobody helped me make millions of dollars. I decided to take control of my life. I decided to fail. I decided to get a mentor. I decided to say, I am not going to go one single week for the next year without being in a living room. And that's how I got to $35,000 a month, my first network marketing company, after 15 months, because I made a decision and I stuck to it, and I did not miss a week for 15 months. Not 15 months. Okay? So it's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. And the Pareto principle says that 20% of the people do 80% of the work on your team. Find those 20%. So if you've enrolled 10 people, only 2 of them are going to do anything statistically, unless you cherry picked and have an extraordinary lineup of people. But even me, I had network marketers follow me a year ago, and still only 20% are still doing something. It is the law of the universe that 20% of your efforts, 20% of the people, 20% of the decisions will yield 80% of your results. So find the 20%. So how can you change it? Well, it takes one thing every day for 30 days. So let's pretend you hate calling people. Like that phone looks like it grows mold and teeth and snarls. It's going to bite your face if you put it up to him. Like you hate picking up the phone. If you do it every day for 30 days, you will no longer hate it. But it's so imperative to realize that your brain is trying to preserve you, and sometimes you'll feel that fight or flight response so strong that you literally think you're gonna die, and your brain says you have to stop. And it tells you things like you're uncomfortable, this is awful, this is torture, you're never gonna do this, and you talk yourself out of everything. Every day that you're not successful, you talked yourself out of it. It's a battle of your own mind. You know what you gotta do, then you know what you don't want to do, and which one wins every day. We all know how to lose weight, but why is 70% of Americans overweight and 93 million obese? We all know, how to have happy relationships. You be kind, you be helpful, you be understanding, you be loyal. Like we all know you have a good temper, you have a good attitude. We all know how to make money. These are not rocket science things. But it takes discipline. So this is what NASA discovered, because they needed to do this for scientists who were going up in space, and then realized that it had a lot to do with habit forming. So they needed to train them for what they were going to experience so that they didn't like all pass out and crash the rocket ship, right? So what happens, what they did is they put on goggles every day, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they wore goggles. Now there's one catch. The goggles reversed their vision 180%. So literally the floor, when they go to reach the floor, it was really the ceiling, and the ceiling was the floor. So if this item was here, they would go to reach for it, they were like this, and here's what they discovered is they were nauseous and had headaches and were incapable of functioning for like days and days and days and days. But something interesting happened between the 26th and the 30th day. If they kept the goggles on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, their brain, in effort to help them survive and cope with this new environment, reversed it back. The brain literally reversed it back and compensated physiologically so that they were now seeing everything with the goggles on that they normally saw. I want you to think about that. That's a big freaking deal. That's how powerful your brain is, by the way. But here's something interesting. If at any point along the first 26 days that they took the goggles off for a short amount of time, that clock would start over. So if on the 13th day they took the goggles off, it was not going to be 13 days later they had the vision righted. It was going to be 26 to 30 days from that. And what they found is it takes 26 to 30 days to change a deep-rooted habit or belief that you cannot, even one day, you cannot stop. And so you can rewire your brains, and they rewired them over and over and over again, and found out that the magic was 26 to 30 days, and it had to be uninterrupted for new habits to form, right? I'm telling you right now, my kids are 7 and 10, and for me, nobody has to tell me to brush my teeth. Does anybody have to tell you to brush your teeth? No. When you put on shoes, does anybody have to tell you to tie your shoes? No. When you put on socks, you'll notice that you put the same socks on the same way every day, or your underwear, or the way you dry yourself with a towel. Your habits have been formed. I'm telling you right now that I still have to remind my kids to brush their teeth. Why? Because they haven't done it with discipline for 30 days on their own. But once they do, I won't have to tell them to brush your teeth anymore, right? So you have to have 30 days of conscious, deliberate thought and effort for it to get easier. And by 90 days, things will literally become flawless. But here's the bottom line. We say it's 5 to 7 years for a 7-figure income, six to 7-figure income, most people don't last 5 to 7 phone calls. Why? Because they feel that fight or flight response, which is horrible for all of us all the time. Nobody likes it. But when you're feeling that feeling, I'll tell you right now that most people run. 97% run and 3% say, but I have to feel this or I'm never going to get forward. That's when you know you're on the brink of change, is when you feel that and you do it anyway, right? You've probably all heard, do it scared. Now, here's another thing is, it's not just good enough to break a bad habit, because when there's a bad habit gone, a new habit has to replace it, leaving a void. So you have to consciously replace those habits. Like, for example, here's a good example, physically people, like smokers who smoked for 12, 20, 30 years, if they don't replace that habit, that morning ritual, with something else, that oral fixation. So you see a lot of smokers, they start chewing on pens or straws, because their body, after years and years and years and years, have been used to feeling that, and it's comfortable. It's a comfort. It's like a little teddy bear for a kid. Or they might chew gum because they have to be replacing that oral fixation, which is why a lot of people smoke, with something else. So, you can get rid of bad habits, but the bottom line is it's going to take you facing those fears over and over and over and over and over consistently. But the good news is are you really not willing to give 30 days to change your entire life? Right? I mean, what would happen? Let's say you're 100 pounds overweight or 50 pounds overweight, and you were intentional about what you put in your mouth, and you avoided sugar and alcohol and dairy and hydrogenated oils and processed food and starchy food and genetically modified food and artificial stuff, and you ate whole foods for 30 days, I promise you it would be physically impossible for you to not lose weight. In fact, there's a doctor that I follow, and I read his books, and I know his program inside and out. He's a pH doctor. He teaches you how to pH balance your diet. He literally helps people lose 1 pound a day. And people tell it's not possible to lose 100 pounds in 100 days. Oh yes, he's done it a million times. Why? By putting the right things in your body. And when your body no longer needs to hold on the acid, which is encapsulated by fat, your body gets rid of it, right? So what would happen if you just hunkered down and wrote out a plan for your business, that you're going to make 5 outbound calls a week, or whatever, 2 a day or 5 a day or whatever it is, and then you're going to make 5 follow-ups, and then you're going to read, and then you're going to get on the habit of being on social media, or whatever it is. I have a friend that I use that word loosely, I've only met him a couple times, but he's more of a mentor online, that at 20-something years old followed a plan from a guy who learned how to dominate the internet. And he followed his plan. He bought the coaching program and he followed the plan. And he had success. Millions of dollars. And the guy who wrote the plan called him and said, hey, this is, Mike, I wrote the plan. I don't understand. What are you doing? And he says, I don't understand the question. What do you mean I'm doing? What am I doing? I followed your plan. And the guy was so boggled by the fact that this guy had actually duplicated his results because he followed the plan. So the guy, Jonathan, he says, he stands up on stage, or he stands up online, he says, I will teach you everything I know. I will teach you everything I did. I will hold nothing back, and I will give it to you all 100%. I will show you every appointment I made, every website I did, I will give you my entire plan, because I know 95% of you, 97% of you won't do it. So, I'm not worried about helping people in the network marketing industry with my Lunch and Learns, because you know what? 97%, I'm not creating any competition for myself, unfortunately, because 97%, but I'm not looking for those 97% that won't do the things that I'm suggesting. I'm looking for the 3% that say, I want to change my life and I need to know how to do it, right? We all know that nothing is hidden in these. There's nothing in an old arc somewhere that's the secret success scrolls that we're going to find one day and be like, oh, that was it. We know it. We know how to make money. We know how to have abundance. You increase your value, you increase your money. We know how to have perfect bodies. We know how to have a great attitude. But here's the bottom line, is it takes self-discipline. And everything that takes success in relationships, in health, in business, is easy to do, but it's easier not to do. It's easier to lose your temperature, or, lose your cool at your kids than to sit there and explain to them after, like calmly. It's easier to not call someone and watch TV than it is to call somebody. It's easier to not go to events. It's easier to not pick up a book. It's easier to watch Netflix than it is to read The Master Key to Riches or The 15 Laws of Intellectual Growth or How to Think and Grow Rich or Go Pro or all the other books that will literally give you years and decades of wisdom to help you take your value in the marketplace higher, but it's easier to not do it. It's easier to sit on the couch than it is to exercise. It's easier to drive the drive-thru and get a Big Mac than it is to go home and make a salad. It's easier to grab a soda than it is to go juice vegetables. Everything you want is easy to do, but it's easier not to do, and that's why people don't do it. We all know what it takes. The people who are willing to do what it takes to get uncomfortable, to feel that fear, to feel that pain, to reprogram your brain through all the rejection and ridicule. You guys think I didn't get ridicule? My first company, people called me by the product name because they said I was so annoying, and I was, because I wasn't taught by a professional. I didn't have an upline that taught me. Me and my siblings got into this together, and we didn't have a mentor. So I was annoying, and I was trying to shove my stuff down people's throat, and I was bothering people, and I was hounding people. I literally had a guy, he's like, "You're really not going to stop bothering me?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "All right, when's your next meeting?" And I probably shouldn't have done this because I got positive reinforcement because he actually joined. But I was that person. Fortunately for you guys, especially ones who are on my team, I have learned that over the last 9.5 years, how to do this without being that guy. We have a professional script. We teach people how to invite. We teach people a conversation, which probably should be a great topic for episode 15 is, what is the easiest conversation, the best way to get people to look at your products and opportunity without shoving it down their throat? Hit the like button if you guys want to see that tomorrow. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll write that down. So we're going to teach you how to do it as a professional and elevate the entire industry. And we have learned, me and my business partners and my team, we have learned a way to do this in a way that we're not bothering anyone, we're not hounding anyone, we're not putting anybody in the witness protection program, we're not pissing anybody off, we're doing this in a way that we're teach people how to be professionals, how to get your information out there, and do what we're doing is invite them to take a look and see if this is for them. Is this something that they can see themselves being a customer of, or is it something that they want to see doing part-time, full-time, spare time, or big time to earn opportunity, money and the opportunity? So I'm excited to do that. I'll stick on for a few more minutes for any questions, but just remember that you're going to hear the little voice. It's not God. It's just your conscience. It's just your subconscious telling you you're doing something that you don't really deep down inside believe. You're doing something that was programmed maybe when you were 3 years old or 5 years old or 10 years old or 30 years old. You heard that a million times, and you're going to keep hearing it in your head until you create a new belief system. And you can do that very, very, very quickly and very easily, guys. It takes 30 days to change your life. You can create a new habit, and I do not suggest you try to do all of them once. Like people that are like, "Oh, I'm going to improve my relationship, and I'm going to go to church, and I'm going to, have a great attitude, and I'm going to be a better parent, and I'm going to get healthy, and I'm going to start doing my business." You will fail. You will fail because you got to focus on one thing and one thing only. And I'll give you guys a really good audio to listen to. It's one of my favorite things of all time, and it is about changing your beliefs. And it starts out by basically saying, the problem with humans today, or the problem with society, is men simply don't think. And it was recorded in the 50s, so they didn't talk about men and women. It's like, men just don't think. That you become what you think about every day, and that if you just want to change your life, you have to change what you think. And that's called The Strangest Secret. And you can go to YouTube and just search The Strangest Secret. And it's a 32-minute audio that was recorded in the 50s by Earl Nightingale. And I have listened to that probably somewhere between 60 and 80 times. And I have reprogrammed, and I have been very deliberate, because what he says is that just like when a farmer gets a field, right? And let's just pretend this is the field. Your brain is like a field. So this is a field. So the earth doesn't care whether you put poison, right? You plant poison or you plant beautiful flowers. Guess what? It's going to grow either one. Any seed that you plant in a field that is what will be grown in the field. And your brain is the same way, that it allows you to implant positive and negative as much as you want. So you can be intentional about what you plant in your brain. That's why I don't watch the news. I do not watch the news because I don't want to hear about a kid getting kidnapped, you know, or a person getting hit by a car or whatever, because I don't want my brain to worry about those things, right? I don't listen to garbage. I don't even watch much TV. I'm very selective of what I watch on TV. Instead, I'm filling my, you know what I did last night instead of watching TV? I started watching a movie. It's free on Facebook right now called The Abundance Factor. And this is where I got the inspiration for some of this content. But like while everyone else is watching Netflix, I was watching The Abundance Factor last night. My husband will walk in on a Friday night. It'll be like 11 o'clock and I might have a glass of wine or something. And I'll sit there with headset and I'll be like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm watching Brian Tracy's Secrets to, you know, Millionaire Success. Or I'm watching The 7 Habits by, what's his face? Oh, it's a good one. Oh, shoot. The guy that wrote The Traveler's Gift. Like, this is what I do. This is a habit of mine. Why? Because I grew up poor. I grew up with my parents telling me that I'm going to have to work hard and I don't even need college and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I grew up with not good stuff. Although I got a rich dad, poor dad. I had my dad, who was a realtor, who did tell me that if I believed in something strong enough, the universe would conspire to make it happen. And then I had my mom and my stepdad telling me, oh, you know, that's all hogwash. Go to school. You're just going to have to work for somebody else, yada, 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 right? So, no, not Covey. Andy Andrews. Andy Andrews, The 7 Decisions. Oh, such a good one. You're thinking habits, I said. So that's a good one. It's an hour-and-a-half audio. You know, this is something I do for fun. Like, I do like Netflix, and I do have a couple favorite shows. I can't wait till Game of Thrones comes back on, but that's 10 hours a year that I'm investing in that. It's not like it's like, ooh, 10 hours a week or anything. 10 hours a year, I'm watching Game of Thrones. Sorry, it's great. But I make it a habit of watching things that are going to expand my value, expand my mind, rewrite those files so that I can, because every day, I mean, I'm still, even 10 years in the industry, I am seriously still scared. I still have fears. I still don't want to be rejected. I still don't want to fail. I still don't want people to quit on me. I still don't want to be ridiculed. I just try to operate in a way and continue to increase my value and continue to hone my skills, sharpen my axe so that I can be valuable to myself and to my clients, my customers, and to my team. Any questions you guys have before we lock up here in episode 14? And guys, remember to go subscribe. Andy Andrews, Andy, A-N-D-Y. Go to youtube.com/create wealth with Tara, or just search Tara Wilson, and just hit subscribe and you'll get an email notification once a day when I upload these, because I know that not everyone it's lunchtime. It could be it's 8:42 in the UK right now. It's, you know, in the Netherlands it's 9:42, and Australia it's like tomorrow morning. I think it's like 5 a.m. So, you know, wherever you are, what I just want to say is, you know, turn lunchtime, which might have been a social hour before, into learn time. You know, I think you should turn driving time if you have to commute, listen to audios. I think that you should, at nighttime, you know, scale down on your TV and start filling your brain with someone else in little parts. So hopefully that if you don't watch this live at lunch, that you can catch this, you know, another time, and turn your lunchtime into learn time and just eat your salad and watch. But thank you guys, and I appreciate all of your comments and your support. Episode 15 tomorrow will be how to invite people without feeling weird about it. I have to think of a clever title. So I'm excited to do that. And thank you guys. If you have any questions, please tag me in the comments and I will reply personally. But thank you guys for listening. Go reprogram your brain. Have a good day, y'all.